Good morning, guys. Happiest of Tuesdays. It is currently 9:43, so love you. If you know, you know. And I just finished all my chores. It was a pretty long morning. There's a lot to do, but we are done, and I'm so excited to go to the gym. But first, we are in chapter 8 of Job, and now we are going to see Bildad's, what's his name? Bildad's response to Job. So remember how dark Job got in chapter 7. Now let's see what Mr. Wrong Bildad has to say, because he's definitely not going to say anything helpful. How long will you say such things? Your words are a blustering wind. Does God pervert justice? Does the Almighty pervert what is right? When your children sinned against him, he gave them over the penalty of their sin. But if you look to God and plead with the Almighty, if you are pure and upright, even now he will rouse himself on your behalf and restore you to your rightful place. Your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will your future be. Ask the former generations and find out what their fathers learned, for we were born only yesterday and know nothing. And our days on earth are but a shadow. Will they not instruct you and tell you? Will they not bring forth words from their understanding? Can papyrus grow tall where there is no marsh? Can reeds thrive without water? While still growing and uncut, they wither more quickly than grass. Such is the destiny of all who forget God. So perishes the hope of all the godless. What he trusts in is fragile. What he relies on is a spider's web. He leans on his web, but it gives way. He clings to it, but it does not hold. He is like a well-watered plant in the sunshine, spreading its shoots over the garden. It entwines its roots around a pile of rocks and looks for a place among the stones. But when it is torn from its spot, that place disowns it and says, I never saw you. Surely its life withers away, and from the soil other plants grow. Surely God does not reject a blameless man or strengthen the hands of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Your enemies will be clothed in shame, and the tents of the wicked will be no more. So in chapter 9, we're going to see Job's response to this friend of his, but I have highlighted here a few things that he said. How long will you say such things? Your words are a blustering wind. Does God pervert justice? So this is a bit of a harsh thing to have said to Job, especially in hindsight, like knowing that Job was truly innocent, right? Similar to his other friend, what's his other friend's name? Similar to Eliphaz, he is also trying to minimize what Job is going through, which is really harsh considering that Job in his understanding is well aware that he didn't do anything to deserve what is happening to him, right? So for him to have said, like, when are you going to stop complaining? When are you going to stop expressing your pain? It's like, you don't say that to a hurting person. You don't say that. You got to be patient. You got to be patient with those that are hurting, especially when everything is okay in your life. But this is why not everybody has empathy, right? Empathy is your ability to meet people where they are emotionally. And usually empathy is formed through hardships, right? The more hardships you've been through, the more you can relate to others because you know what it's like to be in their shoes. But for people that have never been through hardship before, it's hard for them to relate to the broken because they've always had it all. And that is usually where narcissistic behaviors can stem from, is a person's inability to feel for others. And maybe in childhood, this can develop as like a child that anytime they showed emotion for others or anytime their emotions were expressed, it was shut down by the parents. So now there are children that either fall into the opposite side of like too much empathy because their parents did this to them, or they fall on this side of the spectrum of complete lack of empathy because of what their parents did to them. And so what happens here is usually these people are drawn to each other, right? Because this person takes on all the empathy and this person takes on none. So that is where the equilibrium is found. The balance is found between them, but this becomes very toxic very fast because in order for a relationship to be healthy, this person has to have an equal amount of empathy as this person, so that whenever one is falling short, one can bring the other up in love, in respect. And whenever one of them is hurting, they can lift each other up with love and respect, right? That's a healthy relationship dynamic. Also right here in chapter 3, where he asks him, does God pervert justice? That's obviously a rhetorical question, right? Job is not expected to answer that because we all know that God does not pervert justice. The enemy perverts it, right? The enemy takes what is of God's and he twists it and makes it something that is not pure, that is not upright, that is not righteous. That is what the enemy does. So by Bildad asking him that, it's kind of like him just telling Job, you have no reason to complain. God would never pervert justice. So obviously you messed up. You must have done something to deserve what you are going through. But no, sometimes the enemy does what the enemy does and consequences happen, right? Verse 7 through 9 highlighted, and it says, your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will your future be. Ask the former generations and find out what their fathers learned. Well, first let's dive into verse 7. Your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will your future be. I highlighted this because I remember at the time I also saw it as like, oh, that's good, that's true, right? Which it was true. It was true that even though Job was in a current position of being humbled, his future had so much prosperity because God was waiting for him in his future, right? And we know that, the readers. But at the time, Job doesn't know that, right? And so even something that they teach us in therapy that I just recently learned is that when somebody is going through a really hard time, it is not our place as therapists to say, oh, there's hope for you, or your future's bright, or good things are coming to you. We can't say that because truly we don't know that, and we don't, right? From my perspective, even as a godly woman, right? If I were to say that to somebody that decides to never give their lives to God, then what I said was a lie, because I don't know if this person is ever going to give themselves fully to God. Only God knows, right? So by me saying, oh, everything's going to be fine, your future's going to be fine, I'm trying to play God, and that's not my position. So we are not supposed to tell people that are in distress that your future is bright and prosperous and beautiful, because there is no guarantee of that. So we just have to be careful with the words that we say to those that are hurting. So that's one thing. And then we go into chapters 8 and 9 that say, ask the former generations and find out what their fathers learned, for we were born only yesterday and know nothing. So this is a grown man that's living very prosperously, right? But the reason why is because usually generational wealth, generational prosperity, generational peace, generational righteousness is usually passed down, right? And if the kids are obedient, the kids will take on the inheritance of their parents, right? And if they're rebellious, so there are people that have inherited great wealth and have lost it all in their lifetime because of really bad decisions, right? But even when Jesus came, he said, I did not come for the righteous. I came for the sinners. I came for the broken. So if we're representing Jesus, we are the representation for the broken people of the world, not for the righteous people. They already have their connection to God. So Jesus came for us, the sinners, the broken, the ones that were forgotten, the generations of families that have been cursed and broken because of bad examples that came before us. So right here where he's saying, ask the former generations and find out what their fathers learned, he's pretty much saying, because Job and all of his friends were very wealthy and prosperous. So he's like, they must know something that we are missing, possibly, like, or just ask them in the sense that they'll tell you the same thing I'm telling you. Right? Everything's going to be fine. Your future is bright. You're fine. Cheer up. No, that's not how you talk to somebody that is hurting. You sit there with them in their pain and you let them express themselves. You ask them questions. You show care. You show kindness. You show compassion. You express love to them in a way that's appropriate, right? And you do that by showing you care. You do that by showing your heart of God, showing your heart of gold. Right? When God takes our heart that is poisoned and ugly and broken and beaten and battered, he creates a heart of gold. He creates a heart of flesh. He creates a softness in you, a softness that the world will try to destroy, but God will not allow it. He'll protect you. You pretty much give them your heart in that moment, and you let them know that in their pain, they are not alone. And then he says, for we were born only yesterday and know nothing, which is true, right? In our lifetimes, what do we know, right? The only reason I have what I have, like the wisdom that God gives me, is because he gives it to me. He could take it away tomorrow if I start to disrespect it, right? So we have to honor what God gives us, because he can take it away just as fast as he gives us something. He can take it away so fast without hesitation. So it's important to always be mindful of God and what you are doing and how you are presenting the gifts that he has given you, right? And not taking credit for what is God's, right? Whatever I have is not mine. It all belongs to God. Whatever you see here is God's. It is not mine. Okay, verse 22, your enemies will be clothed in shame and the tents of the wicked will be no more. That is 100% true. We just talked about that in my last vlog about this being truthful. And we see this in Isaiah. So it's not that what he's saying isn't true. They are sprinkling truth in there, but they're doing it from a place of trying to rush his process. And that's not very cool. You got to respect people's process. You got to respect people's time in the pain, in the hurt, in the growth, in the process, right? We cannot rush God's process. That is one thing that I have learned with God whenever I would get frustrated on my journey of like, why am I not more than what I am now? God, like I've given so much. And he would always respond to me, trust the process. He is an oven kind of God. He is not a microwave kind of God. With that being said, we are heading out to the gym. So God bless you. May God be with you. Let's go. Love you.
Oh, you hear me, and I can't be quiet. Your spirit is alive in me. Now I'm singing, always singing. You're all that I want. You're all that I've ever needed. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. You're all that I want. You're all that I've ever needed. I don't wanna see your smile. I want you in the morning before you go performing. Pitch black, pale blue. It was a stained glass variation of the truth, and I felt empty-handed. You let me set sail with cheap wood, so I patched up every leak that I could, till the blame grew too heavy. Stitch by stitch I tear apart. If brokenness is a form of art, I must be a poster child prodigy. Thread by thread I come apart. If brokenness is a work of art, surely this must be my masterpiece. I'm only honest when it rains. If I time it right, the thunder breaks when I open my mouth. I wanna tell you, but I don't know how. I'm only honest when it rains. An open book with a torn out page and my ink's run out. I wanna love you, but I don't know how. I don't know how. No, I don't know how. I don't know how. I wanna love you, but I don't know how. I don't know how. I wanna love you, but I don't know how. I wanna love you, but I don't know how. I wanna love you. Pitch black, pale blue. These wild oceans shake what's left of me loose, just to hear me cry mercy. A strong wind at my back, so I'll lift up the only sail that I have, this tired white flag. don't know how. I wanna love you, but I don't know how. I don't know how.